Hi, my name's Colin Power, and today what we're going to examine is the relationship of the speed of light to the speed of sound and the geometry that accompanies that. I've got my drawing compass here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open it, and that's a distance we call 1. And the second motion then is to plant the dot somewhere on the page, roll back and to draw a circle. And so the radius is 1, and so the circumference becomes 2 pi. Put my point anywhere on the edge of the circle, I can draw a second circle. This is the beginning of all sacred geometric processes. There is a dot here and a dot here. We call these nodes where the two circles overlap. And this creates a kind of distance between here and here. So if this distance is 1, what do you think this distance will be? Let me give you 10 seconds to pause the video now and have a think about that. I'm going to give you the answer now. This distance is 1. This distance will be the square root of 3. Square root of 3 is very important for several reasons. If you take a cube with a side length of 1, the square root of 3 happens to be the distance from the opposite corners of the cube. We shall expand this compass. This is opening of 1. I'm going to put 1 on the dot there, 1 there, yeah, and I'm going to stretch it. So now this compass has a distance of the square root of 3 radius, and we're going to draw another circle, yeah. And here, what you can see is there's a point now that forms on the other side there and right there. What's the distance now? If that's 1, what is the distance right the way across? Did you get it? Have a quick look. That's 1, 2, and here 3. So the distance across there is 3. And this creates an interesting ratio. We're only using circles. Circle is the most primitive form, if you like. And as well as that, what we see is that as those circles expand, where they cross and intersect, they start to sort of form a ratio, a relationship. So what is the number 3? If we remember previously, we mentioned that 3 was the speed of light. 3 equals c. One of the things about the speed of light is that it happens to be that speed in the vacuum of space. If there's no atoms, you suck all the atoms out, you've still got this, we said, this electromagnetic field resistance in the vacuum, which prevents the light wave from expanding at infinite speed. So there's a definite limit to causality, a time frame, a rate in which reality is being manifested or communicating. If we go back in time to when there was a tiny dot singularity, if you like, the Big Bang, if we go back to the concept of everything coming from a tiny dot, suddenly the universe is far too dense for these photons to manifest. And so what happens instead, it's actually the speed of sound which takes over. At this point, with this maximum amount of density, what we're really looking at is the maximum that the speed of sound can reach. And what do you think that could be? You might be surprised to find out that it's actually the square root of the speed of light. And where do we find that? That's right, it's right here, speed of sound. And so what we're really seeing here as we're drawing this geometry, although it's such a simple design, it's much more than you might think. We've created the first 2 circles and we established this fastest speed of the sound. And that's really what comes first in the universe before light, sound. And as the universe sort of dissipates and becomes less dense, so suddenly there's a shift. And that's why we find something called baryonic acoustic oscillations within the cosmic microwave background. The size of those circles indicates that the fastest speed of sound is actually the square root of the speed of light. And if we set the speed of light to 3, the fastest the speed of sound can be will be the square root of 3. That is what gets defined first. And once that has been defined, we can extend the radius and create these larger circles, and then we get to define the number 3 going across that way. And so therefore, in both geometry and science, and actually if you think about it, many religions who say that, at first there was the word and then that created light. First God said, let there be light. Or if you look at the Hindu cosmology, the concept of Om, a sound, comes first, and then from that light emerges afterwards. So the order of progression in the universe then is quite simple, and it follows this geometric pattern from the Vesica Piscis as it expands and grows to the next level in space.